So if you've ever heard of Slovenia, you have probably heard of Bled and the castle, and probably that it has super beautiful landscape. Probably also heard about the capital city called Ljubljana, and that Slovenia has some pretty great athletes. So you thought to yourself, I want to visit. Is there anything else I should know? And this is where this video will fill in the gap of knowledge. So here are 8 things that nobody tells you about Slovenia. Slovenia has extremely tiny coast. The length of it is only 46 kilometers. The coast of Slovenia is divided into 4 municipalities: Ankaran, Koper, Izola, and Piran. So if you are in the mood of taking a road trip down the Slovenian coast and you want to make a full day out of it, unless you drive up and down 7 times, it will be a very short road trip. And because the coast is so small, the beaches are usually extremely crowded during summer season. There aren't sandy beaches the way you know them in other countries. We do have rocks, there is pavement, there is grass, there are pebbles, and all of the public beaches are gonna be extremely packed during summer, especially on the weekends. One thing that is also special about Slovenian coast, since it's so tiny, is that everything is interconnected. So there can be a walking path and the beach will be literally right there. If you lay down, you will most likely be this close to somebody else and you will have somebody walking above your head. So be prepared for that. It's not a big coast, but it's so worth visiting because there's insane amount of beautiful architecture. The water is always so pleasant. There aren't any big waves, so you can just go on a floaty and float around. It's excellent to paddleboard, and even if it rains, it is pleasant to visit. Second thing that nobody tells you about Slovenia: if you're an avid hiker and you have a certain bucket list of hikes that you want to do in Slovenia, crossing them all off is gonna be insanely challenging because Slovenia has over 10,000 kilometers of well-maintained trails, and all of the views are breathtaking. There isn't a hike that you will reach at the top and say, this was just 3 out of 10. All of them will be 10 out of 10, so make sure you plan ahead and take some time exploring the Slovenian mountains. But if you are not an avid hiker and you are not an experienced hiker, visiting Triglav, which is our highest mountain, is gonna be extremely difficult. I also want to point out that if you do go to Slovenian mountains, saying hi to people, even if you don't know them, even this is the first time you've seen them, is a protocol. It is just a polite thing to do. You smile and you say hi. You don't have to get into a conversation. Nobody is there to read your story and talk about your childhood trauma. Everyone just says hi because there is a very friendly atmosphere in Slovenian mountains. So if you don't say hi, it is kind of rude. Also, mountain huts are pretty frequent in Slovenia. So during the time that they are open, not all of them are open all year long, so make sure you search which ones are. But if you go during the season, the huts will be open and you can get a lot of Slovenian traditional food over there. They will most likely have zelje and žganci and štrukli and just homemade bread and soups. So make sure you arrive hungry if you want to try some of the Slovenian dishes with the amazing view. We actually have a saying that there is no guilty conscience above 1,000 meters, which means that you can eat anything you want and you shouldn't feel guilty. And last but not least, I have mentioned Triglav, which is a trio of peaks, and in order to be considered a true Slovenian, you must conquer all 3 of them. I currently am still not a true Slovenian, to be honest, but one day I will be. Third thing that you should know about Slovenia before visiting: Slovenia has its own language. There are 2 million people in the country, but we have our own language. But we also have insane amount of dialects for such a small country. The most distinctive feature of Slovenian language is the dual form, and it is when you speak just about 2 people. It would be different for 1 person, 2 people, and 3 people or more. So 2 people is not plural in Slovenian, it is a dual form. And it has 3 grammatical numbers, 6 cases, 8 conjugations, 3 grammatical genders, and 4 grammatical tenses. So good luck learning our language. Fourth thing that you should know about Slovenia before visiting. This one is the one that you should know as well if you want to visit Ljubljana, which is the capital city. Ditch the car. If you're just gonna spend a few days in Ljubljana, do not rent the car. There are so many other ways to get around, especially during rush hour. If you visit in September or October, literally during school season, during rush hour, it will take you longer to get out of the city or through the city if you're stuck in traffic than it would if you would have walked. Or we have something called bicicleta, which is basically a bicycle company that you can rent a bicycle, and they're not expensive, and then just return it at your destination. And there's an app for that. It is so easy to ride a bicycle and walk in Ljubljana. It is so safe. There are a lot of bike lanes and all of the streets are pedestrian friendly. The main part of Ljubljana is actually close to traffic, so you can walk around and you don't have to worry about being run over or hit by something. And even outside of the main part, you have very pedestrian and bicycle friendly roads. Obviously, there are still nutcases, but isn't that everywhere? However, if you are skeptical of using the bicycle and you feel like maybe you'll get run over and it's not safe, Ljubljana is not like that. But you can also opt out for a public transit. Public transit in Ljubljana is extremely clean. You will be safe using the public transit or walking to your hotel, hostel, or biking. Obviously, keep your eyes everywhere, duh, but ditch the car, you don't need it. Fifth thing that nobody tells you about Slovenia is the heritage costumes. So this is the traditional folklore costume slash, not gonna call it costume, I'm just gonna call it attire. Now it's mainly worn by people who dance folklore or who are a part of some cultural organizations. Sometimes people dress up in those attires for festivals that are going on around Slovenia. These attires used to be an expression of social status, and nowadays there are 500 folklore groups all over Slovenia that still participate in this traditional wear. And also to get this authentic traditional heritage attire, you need to cough up a lot of money. They are extremely expensive, and finding one that is authentic and well made is gonna cost you several $100s. Sixth thing that nobody tells you about Slovenia, and if you are visiting for the first time, you'll be surprised. Slovenians love wine. Love wine. 63 to 89 million liters of wine are produced annually in Slovenia, of which fifth is intended for self-sufficiency. Slovenia produces so much wine, 95% of the demand can be supplied just by Slovenian wine. Slovenian wine is going to be on the table at every lunch if you are invited to a picnic or a barbecue event or a birthday or just Sunday dinner or lunch with family of your friends. You will have white and red wine on the table. They will most likely also ask you which one you are drinking. And then if you say red or white, they will also ask you which one. Do you want the Cviček? Do you want Refošk? I have Sivi Pinot. I have Malvazia, etc., etc. And Slovenians are actually third in Europe by the consumption of wine per capita. We stand at 44 liters, and the only people that top us is France with 54 liters and Portugal with 50 liters. That leads me to seventh point. Just because there is a large consumption of wine, don't let that fool you, because Slovenians aren't lazy drunks. Slovenians in general are very active people. They love to participate in sports, let it be cycling, hiking, running during winter. A lot of Slovenians ski or snowboard or just participate in other winter sports such as tubing, sledding, you name it. They love the outdoors, and because we have such an amazing landscape, there are several sports literally right outside your door. You just pick and choose them. So if you do party with Slovenians, be prepared that this Saturday morning is gonna look more like, hey, do you wanna go hike for 7 hours with me? As opposed to, hey, I'm dead. Are you dead? That also might happen, but Eighth thing that nobody tells you about Slovenia, and this one is the one that you should know as well if you want to visit for a longer period of time. Slovenian government yearly issues a number of visas, and those are business visas, visas for medical purposes, visas for members of official delegations, tourist visas, visas for studying, researching, or training, airport transit visas, and visas for spouses of Slovenian citizens. These visas allow entry to Slovenia, but they don't allow you to stay there long-term or work. Permanent residency can be obtained after 5 years of living in Slovenia with a status. Some countries have a live visa, so residence visa, and a work visa separate, but Slovenia has a live and work visa together. So if you come to Slovenia to work, you can get a visa through your employer. However, it is insanely difficult to find work just by visiting Slovenia. It is absolutely advised that you have a prior employer, because employer is the one who will also file for your work visa. You cannot obtain a work visa just out of planning on working eventually in Slovenia. You need to already have an employer. And if you're searching for a job in Slovenia, it is well advised to learn the language. You can probably get away with speaking English in certain jobs, especially if those are the jobs where you don't communicate with people. So you're not working as a cashier, you're not working at a register, you're not working, in a clothing store. So any kind of communication with people, those jobs you will need to learn Slovenian. And I'm saying that because I get an email every single day, people asking me how to get a job in Slovenia, and if just learning English is enough, and do they need to speak Slovenian at all? So hopefully that has answered your questions. All right, so these are all the things that nobody tells you about Slovenia, but you should probably know before visiting. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out my coffee.com or Patreon if you want to support this channel. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.